And today is December 18, 2018. It's 2:23 a.m. I am now recording and I'm being guided to start from conversations taken with myself, between myself and Tavon. And this is on December, looks like it's December 11th, around 2:47 p.m. And then I'm going to take it all the way into December 12th. Because I was contacted by someone named Rwante to do a very significant dream. And so the reason why I'm being guided, and I've been trying to figure out how to do this so it's all in a flow. And I'm just going to go from having to share the conversations between myself and Tavon, and then going in between the dreams that I not only had for myself, but the one that Rwante had, because everything is just in flow with everything that's being revealed, everything that is coming out in the open, what's shifting. And it's like I'm just being guided to take a chronological order and to record what it is when you're coming close to this union space, when you're in this union space and the merge and everything that comes with it. So I am going to now start out the conversation that is going on between myself and Tavon, starting from December 11th, going all the way until December 12th, which is a portal gateway. December 12th is a portal gateway. And I'm in this time frame of this portal gateway that started from 12:12. I saw 12:12 a.m. already 2 hours ago. And this is leading up until whatever's taking place to do with the winter solstice on 12/21. And so I'm recording everything. It may take some days, but I'm recording everything that started from December 11th with everything that's leading up from one thing to the next thing. And so it is.
Know that I was here to. She asked me today to say, "This was this a result of what I said?" She said to me about me going to get a job. I said, "No, no, no. I accept it." I said, "I 100% accepted what you said. You said out of 100% love." I said, she said she knows I am for the creator and what I'm here to do. And I said, "Well, I'm telling you, I accept myself 100% in every area." So that's what it was.
Oh, Patty had mentioned to you that you should go get a job. Okay. Well, I'm just glad that you spoke your truth, because it was really for you. It was for you. And what you did is you got past a barrier. You got past a barrier, and even though I know that she's shifted in a way to do with her view. It's not a lot, but a little bit. And she represents the collective consciousness that feels that way and wrestles with it. And there's even some, even in the spiritual community, that don't accept it too. So, and the thing is, you broke through another barrier to love. You broke through another barrier. You just took off another layer. And what happens is, when people see, when you keep speaking your truth, and that no matter what they do or say, that it's not going to change the circumstance, and you said the perfect words, that you are from the creator. You emanate from the creator. You represent the creator. So therefore, if anyone feels they want to go against who you are and what you're here for, that means they're going against the creator. And it's to accept and to surrender to it. That's the point. So it's beautiful. That's beautiful. So glad you spoke your truth. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Great afternoon, Tavon. How art thou? Happy 12/12 day. I am going to share with you what has occurred within the past 24 hours. Amazing. Ooh. I woke up not too long ago from a dream that I had to do with Ron and Rondi. And it's just amazing the messages, how they flow, and what I feel and see and sense. But what's interesting is that Rwante, I think you know her, she reached out to me yesterday evening because I was going to do a live, and it's like everything kept stopping me from, that's what I couldn't remember. Everything kept stopping me from doing the live. And it's like a part of me was like, oh, I wanted to share something extra than what I did, but then it stopped me because Mike the Peace Dealer was about to do a live, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to miss it because I want to hear the information in the moment and not in replay. So it's almost like a part of me was honoring myself, but it wasn't even me doing it. My soul was doing it. So because my soul has taken over. Isn't that amazing? My soul has a complete takeover. I got to record that part in the dream. And so when she was telling me about the dream and everything, and then I was receiving messages coming from Rwanda telling me about the dream, I was in awe. And then now today, another thing occurred where I was invited to go attend a 12-12 class thing on Facebook, but I just don't have the funds. And then I said, I feel tired, and I just can't push myself to. And if I come into doing something, I'm coming in, with all of me in it. So, and I'm the kind of person that don't like to feel wishy-washy. But what happened is, what I'm feeling is that because I made the choice and the decision not to do the live, not to do the thing today, I freed myself even more, Divine. I freed myself even more. I allowed myself to make more room for love. See, that's what I did. Honoring myself greater and greater and greater. And it just peels away more layers. And because it peels away more layers, that's what brought me online through this gateway today in a mighty, mighty way. So it's just so awesome to even be able to recognize what's happening in energy, and how everything is just serendipitous for me even more with how it's pulling together, really, really is. From one moment to the next, confirmations and things, So I will share the notes, that you can hear it in the moment, and it has a different detail to how I'm describing it. And even Kelly messaged me and told me there was a video with a woman who gave the same, oh my God, I was listening to it because I told her, please send it to me, the same channeled message that I got on December 6th, I think it was, or 7th, with the one that I shared with you. I was speaking in tones. Same exact download that she received to do with these unions. So it's really happening. It's really happening. And it has to happen from in the energetic space first. It really has to, before it comes into the physical space. That's what I know for sure. So, all right, lovely. I will talk to you.
It is December 11, 2018. I am going to share a dream that Rwanda, let me make sure I pronounce her name correctly. I do not want to mispronounce my sister's name. Rwante. I'm going to share a voice note between myself and her in regards to a dream that she had to do with me, and I was floored because she's mentioning about Guyanese and church and everything, and that's exactly what has always been shown to me. And then it's just one thing leads to the next, as also Mike the Peace Dealer is about to do a live to do with Neptune turning direct, and I just decoded something that she mentioned, a name in her dream that is leading us to knowing that something powerful is going to be coming through to do with any messages that might comes speaks on, to do with Neptune being direct, because of the title being Transit Talk Neptune Direct, hidden in plain sight. So we just can't make this up. So it's just truly awesome. So I'm going to play the recorded conversation between myself and Rwante.
Well, Sharon, I had the dream. You were in it. Me and my so-called twin flame or divine counterpart were in the kitchen. We were making different dinners. He was making one thing, I was making another. And it so happens that we got into some disagreements in regards to what we were doing with our dishes. And I guess he was trying to do something with his, or, take something and change mine, or there was just something happening that I did not agree with at all. And I just said, hey, leave that alone. Just put that down. Everything's going to be fine. Now, I said that to him in the island dialect that we would usually talk with each other. But the thing is, I never really go out of my way to speak in that dialect with anybody. But I spoke it with him for some reason. And you were there. And you said, sometimes when we talk in our dialect or we talk in our language, sometimes other people won't understand. So sometimes with me, I have to count from the 15th to the 29th. That's exactly what you said. I'm not lying. You said, I sometimes have to count from the 15th to the 29th. And I was thinking to myself, the 15th to the 29th? Is she talking about numbers or she's talking about days in the month? I'm not sure. But I was thinking that in the dream, and I didn't say anything toward it except, okay, Sharon, I'll keep that in mind what you said. But me and my husband were having a huge disagreement about these dishes. And as I turned to get some other ingredients for my dinner, I looked and I saw some members of a church that I used to go to. It was actually a predominantly Guyanese, like Indian Guyanese church that I used to go to in Florida. And I saw 4 pictures, like 4 pictures in frames, just one on top of the other on the wall. And I saw the bottom one, and there was actually a label down there that said the Orita family. And I'm like, okay, this is actually an Indian church I used to go to once upon a time, and blah, blah, blah. And I just remembered seeing that there. That was among the last things I remembered from my dream. But what got me was when you, in the dream, told me that you count between the 15th and the 29th, just to make sure that you're understood and that you're clear. Which was very funny, because I think you're talking about days in the month, not exactly numbers to count from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 to slow down and to make sure that you're careful how you talk or whatever. Weird, huh?
Oh my God, you got my attention big time with that message. Whew. First of all, I'm getting so much messages from this, and this is coming from my twin soul and my divine complement higher self. Oh my God. Oh my God, because they are Guyanese. They are Guyanese, and I have been constantly having dreams to do with them, to do with being in church, and it has to do with the breakdown of the structures of the religion thing. That has been one of the last blocks to do with our union space. Oh my God. Oh my God. And so the message is for you too, but also the 15th to the 29th, that's a date. It's a date. And the 15th it's this month. I feel it's this month. Something is happening between the 15th and the 29th. And of course, when it comes to language and speaking, because I speak in tongues, and so, and being in the kitchen means it has to do with domestication, with being domesticated. Oh my God. That's all I can say is, oh my God. That is crazy. Mere fact that I spoke the dates in the dream, that's very exact. Oh my gosh, this is just has me blown. I am floored beyond measure. Wow. I'm so stunned that I don't even know what to say. So when I think of kitchen, kitchen represents domestication. And when I think of the twin soul path, and you have one particular dish, they have a particular dish, is how we harmonize the similarities and the differences when it comes to this path, within each other, and blending the frequency of what we embody, individually, and bring it together as one soul. We think of food and dishes. Food and dishes represent nourishment of the body. And so we're also nourishing our souls. And what are we feeding our souls? What are we feeding ourselves? Feeling nurtured. You know what I mean? And sometimes there's certain things that we may want to feed into ourselves so we can feel better emotionally. And it's not about desiring to feel better emotionally through another person, but feeding ourselves emotionally and what makes us happy, and nurturing ourselves, because the North Node is in Cancer. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. I am just in awe. I'm in total awe. Oh my God, this is amazing. So amazing. I thank you. My mouth is wide open. Since the 15th is this Saturday, and we're in the portal of 12/12. So anyway, I'm gonna get myself together. I gotta use a bathroom, and I'm trying to just get myself energetically ready to do this live. So I hope maybe you can join me. I'm going to do some mini readings as well, and messages, of course. So, and I want to make sure I keep it as short as possible. Yes, I do, because I know myself. I will talk and talk and talk, and I have to be conscious of my life force. So, all right, sweetie, I will definitely make sure I listen to it again and go back to it. It's like every time I think I have more things to do, then there's more things to do. It just keeps going on and on with more things to do. It's like it's just woo, amazing grace. And that church thing is God. My God. Do you feel, have you met your twin soul? Because I don't remember if you ever told me that. I think you said you haven't or something.
Warriors again?
I wasn't sure. Amazing. Curious, Rwante, when did you have this dream? Was it today or yesterday? I'm not going to be able to do the live yet after all, because the Peace Dealer is going live in 30 minutes, and I really choose to be in the live energy. So that spirit saying, nope, you're not doing it right now.
I hear you about the live. But yeah, I had that dream the night before last. So it was probably like a night ago. And yeah, I mean, I don't think I've met my twin flame or my twin soul or divine counterpart yet. But at the same time, I feel like I have. It's weird. There's an incident that happened that I told Steven already about how my pendulum led me to the Indian reservation one night when I was lost and looking for help. And it led me to this guy's house. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I met him or not. Really not sure. My pendulum says yes, but I don't think I have. But yeah, in the dream, it's pretty obvious that the guy that is my husband is actually a Native American man. So yeah, and in the dream I called him O'Neill. I don't know if that's his name or not or whatever, but yeah. So this was a Native American man creating obviously some sort of Native American dish. I was of course making some sort of Caribbean dish. And we were arguing literally about what we were doing with our dishes. And I have no idea why. What was the big deal? But yeah, what I found strange was the picture of the Guyanese members of my old church. Yeah, all of them were Guyanese people in those frames. And I have no idea who the Oreda family is at all. Oreda. It's probably something figurative or just something to fill a blank. But yeah, I don't know anyone from that church whose last name was Oreda.
Obviously, dreaming about your twin soul is definitely leading the way for you. And I also feel that you seeing him in the kitchen also represents you're getting to know yourself through him, the personality, the likes, the dislikes, the cultural differences. So obviously he's culturally different from you. Don't be surprised, even though he's Native American, don't be surprised if he has West Indian mix within him as well. You know, when you said Native American, I can't help but think about Aquaman. James, I forgot his name. So handsome. I can't help but think of that guy. Is how it makes me feel, and he's mixed with Native American and he's mixed with German and Hawaiian, something like that, you know. But something feels islandy around this person that you're connected to. So you must be getting closer. Jason Momoa. And even so funny because yesterday his picture popped up on the side of, and you know I'm going to be seeing Aquaman on December 21st. I think that's when the movie comes out. Yes, I is. I just feel that that's how the guy's energy feels. Yeah. Yeah, Jason Momoa. I don't remember the name. You said Jason Mimi's. Yeah, just, you know, everything is just synchronizing so much how they're showing it to me. Everything's pulling together. It's like we're being sucked through a vacuum of energy. And it's just filtering and filtering and filtering. That's how it feels to me. I'm even getting sleepy too. Oh my God. I feel sleepy. But it's a lot of integration and stuff like that. And it's almost like calling your masculine home, you know, that's how it feels. So that's why you're sharing the same dream space. Likely you end up having to move, you know, into your new place before he comes into the picture. So that's even a possibility. Usually when things are happening around in your life, everything else starts to fall into place. You know, whatever old has to go, whatever new place you're being guided to go, you know, that's how it works. Not surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we met, I actually already have a job as well, like a new job. So yeah, I feel like both of those things would have to be in place before he actually can arrive. Because Spirit's been talking to me about my own impatience toward this matter. Yeah, I've been a little antsy. But what Spirit was really trying to tell me is to basically appreciate the opportunity that I have here now to actually live on my own terms, live on my own, enjoy my own space, and really just cherish the opportunity to show up for myself after doing the impossible and being there for others for so many years.
Oh, it works. There's no more giving. Now it's time to receive. That's right. So one thing about me, Rwante, is that I love figuring things out. What if the name is not Orida? Maybe it could be Adero. Maybe the letters are scrambled, but I feel that the name could be linked to it's either linked to me or it's linked to you. So I'm going to keep those letters in mind. It's not familiar to me right now, the Orida name, because you know, even my twin soul and my divine complement, they are Indian. And it's interesting because I do have a Native American ancestry within me, so I wouldn't be surprised, you know, that there is a connection too. And I just get this feeling that your twin soul looks similar to my twin. The reason I say that because he's tall and big, and because of the fact that the name Jason Momoa came into my energetic space, looking at him and how handsome he looks and stuff like that. My twin soul is very handsome, tall, big guy. He's about 6'3", 6'4". So I feel like as if there is a possibility that the guy looks big and tall too. So I don't know if that's how he looked to you in the dream. If not, doesn't mean that, you know, it's not that. But it's just that energy just seeped into my soul, you know. Very interesting. But just, hey, never know. It could be a scrambling the names, because I just switched it around. switched it around and I put OREDA and then I put ADERO. Then you have RODEA, Rodea. So it's possible. And those names, no matter what, how you turn it around, maybe you should Google the name, see if anything pops up, you know. It's a possibility. Or it could be a name of a center, it could be a name of a place. But it feels like a name of an individual person. That's how it feels to me. There's possibilities to O. It's funny because both Rondi and Colin have O's in their names, and so do I. Ron, Rondi, Sharon have O's in there. So Google, you never know. Maybe that person's name picture might pop up. I would just fall out the fucking chair. Shit. God, Rowante. I looked it up, the Oridan, and for whatever reason, it said something about a Neptune energy. Oh shit! Mike the Peace Dealer, the live that he's about to do. Guess what the title is? Transit Talk. I fucking laugh. I'm doing like two things at the same time, and then Spirit has me like, I can't wait to see when she looks it up, because Spirit says you're gonna find something more. What the fuck? Nah, now you know why Spirit says no. I'm not gonna do the live. I'm gonna pay. He's not on yet, but as soon as he comes on, I'm gonna share it on my timeline. Oh my god. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's a message for us, indeed. I just can't help but feel had to do it. The both of us were going to get crazy messages to do with our journey. Oh my God. I mean, come on now. And part of it cut off that the title of Mike the Peace Dealer's video is Transit Talk Neptune Direct. And the name that Rowante gave, when I looked it up, it said Neptune on there. So this is how we keep following the signs and the messages and the clues, and how interesting it is that it all just synchronizes and it just interconnects constantly. Today is December 11, 2018. I am going to share a dream that Rowanta, let me make sure I pronounce her name correctly. I do not want to mispronounce my sister.
Very great and core level are going to step into the next level of your magical abilities. And the best way to really conceptualize this is as follows, to be honest. BJ44 Reiki Girl and Saturn's Hula Hoop, we're going to start with you for the super chat because you guys donated during the new moon ceremony. But this is very important because for many of you, you've reached a place within yourself. You've reached a place within yourself where, you know, you've gained a certain level. Oh, no way. Oh, nice. You've gained a certain level and sense of your intuition. My ayahuasca ceremony was amazing, Lisa. I feel more like myself than ever. Blocks were removed. So I want to explain this. Neptune is going direct from 13 to 18 degrees, all right? From 0 to 10 degrees, this was getting in line and aligning your intuition. Being able to get an intuition and sense what your subconscious is reacting and responding to this conscious physical world. Now your intuition is so on point, you can anticipate synchronicities. Comment a fire sign if you are anticipating synchronicities before they happen. For example, I've now reached a point personally, and whenever I speak on my psychic phenomena, I am a Gemini sun. Whenever I speak on my psychic phenomena, it is on the presupposition that if I experience this, every single one of you are experiencing something way greater. Because when it comes to sun signs, I'm at the bottom of the ladder. Like I'm the third sign. So every single body else, save Taurus and Aries, is experiencing some shit. All right. I've gotten to a point where I feel a synchronicity and I know what I'm going to see. It's like I feel what my subconscious pings me as Neptune. And it's like, oh my gosh. When I go on Instagram, I'm going to see this person's picture because that's what the synchronicities happen, and it's happening. It doesn't mean it'll be right all the time, but keep that in mind. We are now stepping into the second decade, and we're moving past 15 degrees of Pisces, which is, once again, everything up until now is to ingrain the subconscious patterning into your conscious awareness, to make you used to your personal way of signs working to you. Okay. Same here, Patrice Eileen. If we're gonna bring the context of dreams, I have had a dream while Nicki Minaj and Meek Mill were dating that, I was in the room with them. And, Nicki was kind of coming on to me, and Meek was not happy about that. And I was just straight up a straight herb. Like, I don't want no problems. And Nicki was being a typical Sagittarius, playing on that to get me in trouble. And, shortly after, a few months later, they broke up. Okay, tell me why I had, and that doesn't mean that my dream has to do with them breaking up. You know what I'm saying? That could have been my way of whatever surveying. It's just what happened. But tell me why I had the exact same dream with Cardi B and Offset, to where it's kind of like in the same way. Shout out to Dominic in the building. And when Nicki was coming on to me in the dream, she was not hitting on me. She wasn't really interested in me. She was just playing around. You know what I'm saying? Same thing happened with Cardi and Offset. Similar dream, same positioning, and this was shortly before they broke up publicly. And so the reason why I'm telling you this is how Neptune is showing me patterns. This is how Neptune is trying to show me how my dream energy works, how my psychic energy works, okay? I am not the dream homewrecker, Miyoshi. The Offset and Cardi B dream was a nightmare, because at least with Meek Mill, Meek got a little angry. Offset deadass punched me in the face and then pulled out a gun and was like, hey, yo, play Russian roulette with yourself. And I was like, what? No, hold on, wait, really? And it was like live, like, oh my God, you Sagittariuses are wild. Oh my God, it is what it is. I was like, I'm not gonna do this. Hell no. Like, oh my gosh. Because you're definitely coming in to understanding at a greater level how your psychic energy works. And so as we step into the next decade of this is the utilization. And it makes sense, okay? The first decade of Pisces is Neptune. The next decade that we're in is the moon. This is where all that higher octave intuitive understanding starts to get grounded in your actual subconscious. And you start to imprint a lot of this energy within your observation and receptivity. Okay, this is where you're going to emerge and start to see a blending of your dream realm, inner world, and your outer physical world. And I don't know how to put this into words, y'all, without sounding strange, but this is where you start to visibly see. The third decan of Pisces, Alexa, great question, is Pluto. This is when this all starts to transform. It's the Scorpio decan. It all starts to transform and be made physical in your reality intensely, okay? And we're gonna get there like past the 2020s. But retrograding at 18 degrees in June is huge. That's action. Once we get into like May, June, and it goes 18 degrees, that's a decision you are making to truly trust in the strangest nature of your intuition. And now I have to channel this, okay? I want you to comment a dolphin emoji or a water wave emoji if you feel this and you resonate with this. Many of you, I have to close my eyes. Many of you are simulating a sacred reality that gives you a unique perspective. Many of you who feel like you're going through a God complex, where you feel like you're God, it's not a God complex. It is God consciousness channeling itself through you, so you are aware of God consciousness through your own perspective. And a lot of you may feel, oh my gosh, I'm getting arrogant. I'm feeling like I'm God. It's not you feeling that you're God. It's you feeling into your God conscious self while still being human and feeling that disconnect. Many of you are simulating this sacred reality to where you're starting to notice glitches in the matrix, and you're starting to actually align in this. It's hard to put into words. You're starting to really see the effect of the causes you do. That's the best way I could say it. Okay, so it's in the sense where, like, up until 13 degrees, you were doing stuff, but it was hidden in plain sight. It's like you didn't realize that you were the cause of the effect you experienced. So you would just see the synchronicity. And now you're starting to realize, holy crap. Shout out to those of you who are comfy with it, like Tyler Law. Holy crap. It's not my spirit guides who've been showing me signs. I've been giving my power away to these higher beings. It's been me. You're starting to realize the cause and the effect that you have, that when you do this action, when you breathe, this is what happens. When you imagine, shout out to Karen, who we had a very amazing convo, and she broke down how, like, Neptune is like the canvas. As you're imagining, it is creating reality. And knowing what you want solidifies this with Saturn to where you can now imagine it can create itself real time, and you can manifest it with Saturn. And think about how much this happens. A lot of you will imagine something, and then the universe is like, oh, they're creating, Sagittarius. They're creating. And it starts to form in reality as you're imagining the idea of putting together a new business. Somebody 600 miles away on the opposite side of the country is coming up with an idea, because that person is going to be the manufacturer to the equipment you have. And they're like, oh my gosh, I need to create equipment, and I'm being inspired. And you're coming up with the ideas, co-creating it now. This happens every day. And then the dark force comes and you lose your idea. You get distracted. And it's like, oh, never mind. I don't think I can do this. And then everything that's been creating, it dims. And then that person who was thinking about that, you know what? I think I'm going to have a coffee. But you don't see this. If you were a god or goddess outside of time and space, if you astral project into your 5th, 6th, 7th dimensional self, you'll be able to see this process happening outside of time. But because you're in space and time as you're creating, and this is happening in the moment, you're not meant to know this. We don't have to know everything. That's why you have to have faith, and that's why you just have to focus on what you're doing and knowing everything will come out. We co-create this instantly. This is why, as you're thinking about something can come in. It's not just you. It is a shared experience. Many of you are manifestations of what someone else has intended. So many of you are heroes that people have been wishing for, and you don't even know it yet. You're becoming that. And so this Neptune transit is going to so revolutionarily step you into a super powerful state of your super conscious self that allows you to perceive yourself in spirit form. In other words, a lot of you are going to astral project for the first time. A lot of you are going to experience newer psychic phenomena that is not in literature. And so I need to release some energy for you, okay? This is being channeled from the Galactic Federation for Pluto Libra, born 71, even you Pluto Virgos, but for Pluto Libra, born 71 to 84, Pluto Scorpio, born 84 to 95, especially Pluto Sag, born 95 to 2008, there is a huge apology that's due for you. Pluto Libra, Pluto Scorpio, Pluto Sag, if you are born within those years, you're being crapped on. You are having the burden of leading a whole generation of people to understand truth, whether spiritual or physical, based off on the previous generation's lack and dismissal of these truths. to where, because of heavy dark force movement through colonialism and through a lot of effery, okay, it's not the older generation's fault. They suffered through it. There are many people in the older generation who have wanted to do what we're doing, but they were shut down. They didn't have the freedom to do that. They didn't, the forerunners that got killed as martyrs to pave the way for us here, we are now having to go back and do work that was already supposed to be done for us. So many of you are starting from scratch when you were meant to inherit legacies. So you need to stop beating yourself up for your soul mourning. A lot of your souls are mourning because you're coming into Saturn returns and you're realizing the legacy that was promised you was robbed, was taken away. Many of you don't even know the history of where you come from because that was destroyed. That is your birthright. That is everything you were supposed to be born. It was in your soul contract. Now you have to go on a whole mission to re-inherit that. You weren't ever supposed to do that. And now you have to deal with that. You have to deal with the soul pain of having to literally not only reclaim what's yours, but still guide and lead the way for others. It's a lot of stress. If you want to know why people are committing suicide or getting depressed, it's because no one signed up for this, okay? Many of you who are supposed to have lineages, ancient tradition passed down to you, actual father figures and mothers in the home, completely robbed. There's nothing you did about this. Those of you who were supposed to have love from your parents, those of you who were supposed to have an actual family, you were not given this. And you're being made to feel like you just need to get over it. Oh, get over it. That's just life. That's a fucking lie. That is not life. And my Neptune is in Scorpio, lots of syncs and signs. Also with my DC name all day for the past several days, his Neptune is in Sag. For all of you who have Neptune in Scorpio, by the way, this Neptune direct in Pisces, you are all going to feel this evolution more than any of us because you have fully manifested the extent of your intuition to where all the development we're going through as far as like the mistakes we make, it's no longer mistakes for you. So it doesn't matter if other people call you crazy, you're super psychic and you can trust what you're picking up. Especially if you're an Aquarius or a Pisces, no one can tell you anything. If you're a Capricorn, Aquarius, or Pisces, your intuition is on point. Sagittarius and Scorpio as well. With Neptune in Scorpio, your intuition has fully mastered itself, okay? Neptune in Capricorns, your intuition is evolving, but it still has more to go. And I mean, Neptune in Pisces are really just getting more. Brooke H, general message. We have the Hierophant card and the Lover's card. Marriage, you are getting married. If you are single, you are getting married. And the Chariot card could be soon by Cancer season. So keep that in mind. Marriage is in your cards, literally. Island vibes. What intuitive power do I underestimate, overlook? Beautiful question. We have the Emperor card. Your authority. You suppress your intuitive authority. Because I'm not going to lie, Island vibes. Your authority comes through powerful. Oh my gosh, Sharon, I'm so sorry. I didn't give you a message. Hold on. Yeah, I just talked about Neptune and Scorpio. I'm so sorry. I got carried away and I moved forward. We have the Two of Cups and the Temperance. So the message for you is actual coming together with your DC. The Temperance is physically bringing this into form, which is very important. Because this is definitely going to allow you to connect in ways that are very much needed. Okay, we have the High Priestess here too. My apologies for getting carried away, but this is important. No wonder you had me ask, because like this is definitely talking about a full manifestation here with the Temperance, bringing what was etheric into the real. Island vibes. Your
2018. 12:55 p.m.
I had a dream where I was invited to go to a function. It was like an outdoor function. And it's like I was going from one party to the next or something. And I had someone with me. Oh, I get chills. It's like I had someone with me. I don't know who it was. And when I went to this function, it was outdoors, and I saw people that I grew up with at church. And as I was walking, it's like I knew that Rondi and Ron was going to be there with their family or whoever. And when I went, I saw them. So it's like whoever was with me, it's like I was going there with stuff to bring to the party or something, but the person who was with me had the stuff. I don't know what's the word is. And immediately I saw Colin first, Ron. And he had a huge, big smile on his face. Oh my God, it was a huge smile. And so as I walked, and it's like as soon as I got there, that's when it's almost like as if that's when the party started, meaning like there was more life brought to it, because it was like everybody was just kind of like solemn or just bored. And so as I walked around, and it was packed with people. Oh my gosh, it was a lot of people. And I saw their mother, all their relatives was there, their brothers, a whole pile of them. And there were people there that knew them and with their, as far as their family. And then there was a few people that I saw that I recognized. Oh, it was Danielle that was with me. Feels like. So then next thing you know, as I went to the corner or something like that, wherever they were, I went up to it's like God, I can't remember the exact words, but it's like as far as with Colin, it's almost like the two of them were coming up close to me, and I can't remember who's on first or who's on second, but Colin is like, he came up to me and he wasn't in fear or anything. Rondi, he started talking to me. He came up close to me. It's like everything was just happening simultaneously. And they were just like really admiring me, and they were observing me. And so this young lady that I know her from the church that I grew up in. It's like every time the music started to play, it's like she started to dance or something, or she was ready to dance. But not anybody was really dancing. So finally I must have said something like, okay, now we're finally going to do something where we get up and dance. And then it's like nothing that I said was getting Rondi or Ron upset or anything. They were just so engaged in anything I said. As soon as I spoke any words, they were just watching me. And they weren't upset that I was there. It's like nothing was, the whole entire frequency of me being there was openness and connecting, and they were, it's almost like they were wanting their family to know about me being there and everything that was, connecting to me with all of them. That's what it felt like, because I can't remember the exact words, but the whole energy itself just made me feel like, it's like, I'm trying to describe the best words for this. It's like a fresh new beginning. It's it's almost like our souls is like, okay, let's start over again. We're starting over again. You're starting over again. That's what it feels like. But this was like an outdoor function, and it was bright and sunny outside, and there were a lot of people, a lot of chairs. That's what it was like. A lot of people, a lot of chairs. So that's the best that I can remember of the dream. But this is on 12/12. So when I think about it, you know, in the energy itself, it's like, you know, it's so funny. It's like every time I honor myself, something feels like it comes closer to do with them. Every time, because Rwante had the dream that she told me about yesterday to do with the Guyanese church and stuff like that, and the dates that were given from the 15th to the 29th, something or whatever I said in the dream about speaking their language. And it's funny because most of the people in the dream was Guyanese. And so then today I made my decision not to do something that I felt bad that I told the person I was going to do it, but then I said I'm going to honor myself because I don't have the funds to do it, and I want to get my rest. And then I have this dream during the 12 o'clock hour, just before 1 p.m. comes in. And so it just makes me feel like every time I make a decision or a choice or something to do with what's best for me, something just brings it just closer and closer and closer. And then it's like every time I've been getting confirmations from Colin's higher self or something. I can feel like a nervousness in my stomach, like this is about to happen, like something's about to happen. And you know, that there is something that is connecting us together simultaneously. And what was amazing was the openness of Randy. Like, he was just more open and accepting. It was such a huge acceptance with the both of them, and it just was just flowing. It's just really flowing. It was such an even flow. It was an even flow. That's what it was. So something else that I'm observing in the dream was that it was fenced where we all were, and there was just a lot of tables, a lot of chairs. It felt like about over 500 people. That's how much people, but it's like where all the tables and chairs where everyone was clustered together. So there was hardly any space or room, and then of course, like I said, it was daylight. It was outdoors. Every time I get chills. It was daylight and outdoors, and it's like, even though it seemed as if they were not expecting me to come there, it's like, when I say they, I mean Ron and Rondi, they weren't expecting me to come there, but then it was like as if it was welcoming for them, because I blend in with them like a piece to their puzzle. And it's like more people were there that knew them, as far as their family and who was there, than people that I knew. So when I feel even more into the energy, because of the fact that Rwante had the dream to do with the church and the Guyanese church and everything like that, and people, and you know, the numbers that it's like my whole body is just having chills, and because of that, it's like, I can just think of whatever that's connected to religion or custom is just free. It's like there's a freedom, you know, when I feel into it. And even the mere fact that, you know, with having dancing and stuff like that, it's another element of freedom, and body responded and quickened again. But even though in the dream I wasn't dancing yet, but still there was like a different type of interconnectivity is what it feels like. A different type of interconnectivity, mellow, peaceful, joy. There was joy. And
and there was a flow of how everything was just coming together with us all being in one space. So there wasn't anything that was chaotic seemingly, or anything feeling like, oh, I got to get out of here, from anyone. So that's the best that I can feel into the dream in and of itself, other than, because I can't remember the exact words that I spoke. But I know that both, like, even I feel like, if I'm remembering, I feel like Colin's taking pictures of me too, and it's like whatever, even though I can't remember the details of the words, like questions were being asked to me. There was questions being asked, and it's like anybody else that was around, there wasn't as much focus, anymore, but the focus was on me. The focus is on me, so it just makes me feel like their attention is on me even more than ever before. And being that whatever Rwante dreamt to do with the fact when she said something along the lines of that sometimes if the person don't speak the same language or something like that, or how it comes across with the language, something to that effect. I don't remember the exact words, but it's like it makes me feel like I'm speaking their language now. And when I say speaking their language, I'm not talking about the dialect itself, but it's a language of love. They're hearing my heart. They're feeling the love. And so it makes me feel like there is a greater interconnectivity between the three of us. And whatever is happening to do with their family, it's like they're in a moment of stillness now. And surrender. And there's more observation. So, because I always say that even if we all speak different languages from different cultures, and we all have a different way of expression verbally, and we're now getting past just the verbiage and what is coming through from the heart. What's coming through from the heart. So even if we stand still in front of one another, we can feel what is being spoken from the heart. So I just feel like they're watching my videos and the video that I put out. It just all feels like that to me, really does. And I just get this feeling again of more surrender. That's how I feel, more surrender. And all the names popping up, the serendipity of all the things showing up with them. It's just more confirmation of what's coming together with the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And like I said, the main thing I felt was peacefulness among the crowd, peacefulness among the nation, peacefulness among the families, peacefulness with what is, getting past what was, what's the word I'm looking for? What's normally said or done, because we all have different ways and customs and stuff. And it's almost like a feeling of getting past another barrier. And, because as soon as I walked in there, because it's like I had to walk in a fence, then, people and everything became still, and everyone was looking at me, and it was just natural for me. And and so I think about what's changing with the religion, the churches, and whatever was customary, that's the word, customary, is no longer going to be customary. It's just going to be different. It's just different with how we are going to be doing things. And it's not going to be involving,
trying to tell someone how to feel or what to do. And there was like a feeling of spontaneity also that was there, being spontaneous, and just so much acceptance. So that's kind of what I feel coming through to do with this dream on this day. And so it is. Oh, when I think about it too, it's like this is the portal. 1212 is the portal. And so what this is telling me is that they have walked through this portal with me. They're walking through this portal with me. That's it. It's like we're in this union space. We're in this union space, and it happened during the 12 o'clock hour. While I was sleeping, that's where it had to take place, while I was sleeping. And so it's like I feel this anxiety within me, and it's like knowing that something is coming, that something's happening, something's stirring up, and I feel the change. I feel the shift. I feel it. It's something that can't be described in words. It can only be felt, which is exactly what this is about. So it's like when I close my eyes, I get an image of us being on a grid, myself and Colin and Rondi, and it's like I'm connecting to them through the root chakra. So I'm not it's like, even though whatever communication is coming through the heart, it's like I'm seeing these electrical fibers coming through from my sacral chakra. So when I think of the root chakra, that is where the divine feminine is connected to her divine masculine, and they're telling me that's the reason why I was wearing red. I've been wearing just red almost like 2-3 days now, just some type of family of red, and it's through the root chakra that everything that has to be released through the root chakra, or with all the experiences that we have gone through, myself and Ron and Rondi throughout lifetimes. It's like this is where the major collapses of all of that frequency. It's like we passed through that portal energetically, because like what I said in my other segment, that from the 1212 gateway is what is starting that those major door endings, like major endings, and then it's like we're ending and beginning at the same time. So there's an ending and a beginning at the same time, and between the 15th and the 29th, which is what I feel is like I call it the clue from Rowante's dream, is that it's just like whatever doors from whatever lifetimes that have been attached to us through our solar plexus energetically, that once it leaves, it's not coming back. That's it, it's done. So that's why the energy feels so clear in the dream. It feels so clear in the dream. And their family being in the dream also is a representation of whatever energies that they have held, that they carry, I should say, in this lifetime. The union of myself and Colin and Ron, Rondi, is what is shifting through their ancestral line, because I feel like most of the people that were there again is their family and their ancestors, because I feel like it's not just people in this physical lifetime, but I feel it's other lifetimes as well. And whatever part of their culture with Guyana is what I've been alchemizing through with them, and through the churches, and whatever I've experienced through the churches and the religion on my side. So and it was only a handful of people that were at a specific table that were from my church. So it was like maybe I would say maybe like about 8 to 10 people, whereas on Rondi and Ron's side it was like hundreds and hundreds of people, and it was all in clusters because we were all clustered in chairs. So that's how it felt in the whole energy of the dream.
And so it's like restructuring whatever has happened throughout lifetimes when it comes to the patriarchal system, patriarchal energy, because the religion started from and through the patriarchal system. That was one of the first systems that was put in place when it comes to the beginning of patriarchy, was through religion. And so that has been one of the major blocks that I've stated, when it comes to the union space within. So it really makes me feel like there is more release of the religion energy between myself and the two of them. Yeah, because even when I notice that certain people, may have moved or pulled to the side from my space, there is an aspect of the religion and being told what to do and all these things. All of that stuff is has been released. And this portal itself helped to just release the final parts of it, if that's the best way I can say it. Yeah, because the love that I have within me released it. That's it, the love that's within me. Because love is the answer. It makes so much sense, because with the dream in and of itself, as soon as they saw me, it's like they knew. It's like it was a surprise, and at the same time, it's like they knew I was coming. It's like they were anticipating for me to come there, and I made it. I made it. That's the words I'm hearing. I made it. I made it. We made it through this portal. We made it through this portal. So it's like we're on the same timeline now. We're on the same timeline now. We're on the same timeline. We're not in different timelines anymore. Because they were waiting on me. They were waiting on me, and I got there. And I'm there. That's awesome. Oh, I see it's 1:44. That's confirmation. That is confirmation. Amazing. This is an addendum to the dream based on what occurred yesterday from Rowente's dream, and the dream I had today is because I made the decision not to do the Facebook Live or the Instagram Live, and I honored myself by just, because the part of me saying, I need to get all the messages out there, and I didn't do it, and I did, I just allowed myself to just be, and so I did that. And then again, I went back and listened to her dream and the Guyanese thing that comes up, because it shows how something is interrelating to do with the Guyanese structure of churches. That's why every dream I had during the last several months had to do with myself and them being in a church. It's just that programming. To do with the church. So because I also made the decision not to participate in the 12-12 class with Tracy, and I decided to rest longer, and and everything, and being in that flow within myself, it just made more room, because I made the decision this morning before I went to sleep. And even though a little tiny part of me felt bad, because I really wanted to be there, but then a part of me was like, I just know I feel too tired. And I know that I felt like, because I know I couldn't spare another extra funds, I had to honor myself. And so because of honoring myself, I made more room for love, and I made more room for them to connect to me, because that has been one of the downfalls and demise of my union space, is because of always giving of my time and my heart to others constantly. So it's like I've created a greater balance within myself of where I place my energy, my life force,
to do with helping people, helping others, because Rwante said it too in the recording I had with her, that she's honoring the time that she has with herself, with her path, before her divine complement comes into the picture, and she's getting her life together. So it's the same thing for me. It's like I've been balancing and practicing to more than just say no, but even if at the moment, if I had said I'm going to do something, but then I changed my mind, it's okay for me to change my mind. And so because of that, that's why that it created that space with energetically for Rondi and Ron to come forward towards me. It's like that's why they were in a waiting mode. That's why they were in a waiting mode, sort of in the dream in and of itself, and then I arrived. You see, because they have been the masculine is always waiting on the feminine to rise to her full power and for her to honor herself fully, and that's what it feels like for coming from to do with this dream. December 12th, 2018. It is 4:28 p.m. and I have an addendum. So I was in the kitchen and I heard Spirit say, my higher self say, well, you keep saying that from the dream that I was pulling things together from my Divine Masculines lineage, from where they're from Guyana and their ancestors, but they're saying that they're your ancestors and that you're the one that is from Guyana. And I was like, what? Oh yeah, right. That is so true. And then I come in the car and I hear this Jamaican song called You're on the Right Track. How interesting. I'm on the right track. So, and it's a winding track too. So, and what's interesting about this song is by Phyllis Dillon, and is what she's saying to her counterpart, that is that you will never be on the right track unless you realize you belong to me, and we don't really, I'm not saying in the sense of ownership, in other words, it's like she's saying that, there is a connection between us and there isn't anything that can alter that, there's nothing that can change that. So anyway, I'm gonna play the song after I'm done speaking. So what came to me is, again, I was being reminded by Mother Earth, well, where do you think the derivative of Guyana comes from? And I'm like, yes, that's right, Gaia. So a lot of times when I saw signs that's, on license plate that said GUI, Guy, I knew it was coming from their higher self to do with Guyana. So I had to smile and I said, okay, there has to be something that links myself, Rondi and Ron, to Guyana. And I guess that's something I'm going to have to research even further. What is it that is showing something that probably relates to the beginning of time with Guyana? Because I know even though it's linked to South America, it's really considered to be a part of the West Indies. Also, it's also linked to Indians, the Indian heritage, the Indian. So there's something within the core of Guyana why my divine masculine incarnated on that island, and that country, and how interesting that I incarnated in the island of Jamaica. So even though it's not the same accent, but we still understand each other with the culture itself, because the West Indian culture, we listen to reggae, soca, calypso, and what's interesting about that dynamic is that they too also have a mixed culture. It's not just Indians, but it's also, I believe there's a derivative of Africa and Indian as well. And there's probably other races, including probably Chinese, Asian. So because that's how it is in Jamaica, is that there's so much representation of Jamaica with all these cultures. And the one thing I knew, I said for myself, is that whoever that I'm choosing to be with, is the ultimate lover, my ultimate true love, is that they understand my culture. They understand who I am, because that was one of the choices I made for myself, that I wasn't interested too much in having a a union or partnership with anyone that doesn't understand my culture or that they don't like my culture and accept it. So one thing that makes it so beautiful about being a part of the West Indian culture is that regardless of what island that we're from, we still understand that culture. It is quite a bit different than, I would say, for those who are born in America, or if they came from other lands. I feel that the closest to the West Indian culture outside of the West Indies is Mother Africa. So, everything that came through to the islands really started from Africa first. And then some of that was also extended out to the European continent. And then it came down to the islands, you see. So everything started from an origin within the African continent. And then it extended out to the islands. And what happens is the dialects and everything started to break down. And that's why we call it patois, because it was broken English. And the dialect in and of itself is very unique, especially with Jamaicans, and then the accent with the Guyanese is quite different also. And funny enough, I have a friend, Sharifa. She is from Guyana, and she was one of my first best friends from I was in kindergarten, and we went to school all the way up to high school. And so there was always a connection that I had with her, and she was Indian also. So there are a lot of cultural uniqueness with the West Indies. There's something that always stands out differently with each country, but it still comes from the core. Again, the core of Africa, the core of the continent of Africa, that also broke down into different countries within Africa. So you see, everything started from the core, from somewhere, and then it started to break down, from one element to the next. And this is in terms of the consciousness, and in terms of gender, and in terms of religion, and all these structures, all these different elements. So it is quite interesting as I tap into this energy. It's like whatever parts that is now restarting to do it myself and my divine masculines is that we're clearing and have been clearing that old timeline of what had been accumulated even from the beginning of time. And so it's like a gathering of cultures, it's a gathering of love, and how it shows up with honoring the similarities and the differences of each path. Because no matter what, I still keep saying that the universal language is love, no matter what culture we come from. Because even with the dream from Rwante, that what she dreamt was that her twin soul was Native American, and then they were arguing over the dishes. So it's like all cultures are coming together, and what it means to truly come back to the self, and what that means and where it takes us. When I think of Gaia and Guyana, because I just saw a sign that says Am Tree, which represents the symbolism of the tree of life. And again, what I was saying, the beginning. So, it's like I'm getting confirmation from my higher self. And there is a link to the beginning of time to do it myself and my two divine masculine as the daughter who had the two brothers, and the link to what transpired between myself as the goddess Aset and with the two of them. And so there's a new slate, a new beginning that is occurring right now. And so it's like I'm in a different vortex, a different creation energy. I'm in a different creation energy with the two of them. And so everything that started from the beginning of time, and it's through the presence of Mother Gaia that this is occurring. So it's like I'm being made aware of knowing this and linking it together, the country Guyana and Gaia, Mother Gaia. Mother Gaia and the tree. When we think of the tree of life is where it bears fruit. And so there's a new fruit that is bearing. The old fig from what Yeshua, when he said that, the tree that didn't have any fig, it was useless. It wasn't of no use any longer. So it's just like everything that we go through these changes and shifts on the planet, that anything that doesn't serve us, it must die, it must wither away, and that's it. So once it is released, now we are creating a new tree that bears fruit. So when I think about it, the death and rebirth, the death and the recycling of life, And in the winter time, which is where I am in the winter solstice that's coming up, it shows that everything is dying. The leaves on the tree is dying, everything is dying. So that's why it shows the symbolism of the masculine template dying, and the patriarchal system is dying. The patriarchal energy is dying. It's dying. It's being shed. And every single leaf that falls off the tree, it's a part of the tree, but then it no longer serves the tree, because the tree is going to be going through a process of transformation with itself. And so as we peel back these layers, which represents the leaves of the tree, we now bear new fruit, and there's a type of a different frequency that you're on with this type of creation. So in other words, everything that was created in the beginning of time, that was in a different energetic space. So now that many of us and more of us have ascended in consciousness, the recreation energy is in a new cycle, and it's in a new element. So therefore, everything that we are creating, we will no longer have to worry about whatever we are creating, that it is going to descend in consciousness. In other words, it's going to continue to ascend in consciousness while it is recreating itself. And therefore, everything that comes together in manifestation, it comes together in a different way, because it's a new time, it's in a new space, it's in a new element. So that's why I saw 1010 last night, because I kept saying before that whenever we see the ones and zeros, it's like a binary code of what is. It's like the way they show it to me, it's like there's a frequency of like the Matrix. In the movie The Matrix, it shows where you see these different elements, like it's in the system, that old grid, and the information and the data is going up and down, and this is what's happening, is that there's data that's flowing through from heaven, and information that's coming back from earth to heaven, and then from heaven, the energy of the consciousness of the feminine principle, because what comes from the sky element, right, through the masculine space, because sky is father and mother is earth. And so what happens is they intertwine together cosmically through the heart with what is transforming. And so now Mother Earth is recreating a new, I would say, element, which we could almost term it as species of her children. And so because of this is what's bringing in the dynamic element of this union space, this union energy. And everything that is coming forth in this new creation, and the new tree is now branching out. And as each one of us start to branch out within ourselves individually, we are now connecting to one another as individual trees of universal knowledge. And as it's just like all the trees on the earth, they do connect to each other, and they do speak to each other. They communicate with one another, and they don't think about, whatever it is that is happening. They just bear different fruits. One fruit might be apple, one might be oranges, one might be pears, mangoes. Aki, in my country, we have, we have bananas, all that stuff. But they're still trees, but they bear different fruits. And each one of these fruits come together as a bunch, and then it makes something to become like what we call a basket of fruits, right? And some may taste sweet, some fruits may taste sour. I've heard of, like lemons are sour, and the banana is sweet, and the apple is hard, but the banana is soft. What else? And you have oranges there's some oranges that are sweet and some oranges that are sour. You have grapes. Grapes can be sweet and sour, and then you have different colors of grapes, but they're still in the family of fruits, right? Then you have vegetables that also grow, and vegetables grow on the earth. And everything is just reproducing, and usually they say it's reproducing within itself. So things on some planets, the reproduction cycle is sometimes where they reproduce on their own, where there is no other part of itself that is needed to reproduce. I forgot the name, what they call it. And some of us reproduce with masculine and feminine, a male or female, I should say. So either way, the energy of the masculine, the feminine, reproduces something. And so we're now bearing new fruit. And the fruit itself is coming through from the diamond codes and the crystalline codes and the rainbow codes. And so whatever is being reproduced is coming forth either from a child that is a part of what's bearing, or it may be coming through an idea, a concept, or something or anything that you've always desired. It is coming into this space of manifestation, and it is coming like a speed of light. That's what it feels like. And so with this, it shows that as we are all reproducing the fruits of our trees, it becomes like a blossoming effect, and things start to become more, I would say, healthier, because our bodies are healthier. It's just like when Yeshua said that if any part of the tree has fruit that is corrupted, then the whole tree will become corrupted. The whole thing will become corrupted. And that's why whatever is corrupted has to be transformed. It's either it's going to go back to source energy, or where it's going through the transformational phase, just like from a butterfly to a caterpillar, then it dies and it starts again. Or the individuation of whatever that has been created will start to branch out, and it might bear new fruit with different elements. But in this place, though, in this state, this way, whatever is being reproduced will not have the corrupted energies, because it is being recreated from a pure state. It's from a pure state, and it's from a pure state of unconditional love. And there's peace that comes with it, there's knowledge that comes with it, and then from the knowledge comes wisdom. So that's why the tree of life is where things started from, with what comes through as the wisdom from Mother Earth, as she has bore her fruit. She has bore the trees, she's bore a lot of things through creation energy, and now she has breathed. She breathes through our nostrils. She breathes through us and gives us life. And as she gives us life and we come back to life again through love, through sacred sexual love, we are now reproducing from that love, but now it's coming from that pure space, that pure element, and it is not descended in consciousness. And so that's the message that I'm receiving as I'm driving through the earth, and I'm connecting to the trees, and the trees are communicating with me and giving me all of this wisdom and knowledge and information that comes from the earth. They're telling me that the information and the whatever data that had been collected on planet Earth goes back to source through us. And as it goes back to source for us, then what happens is it's broken down, and then it becomes transformed into what more that we understand from the duality consciousness. And then we're now integrating everything that has been in duality into unity consciousness. And it is through the unity consciousness that we are recreating a new world. A new world. And that's what this is, a new world, a new earth, a new cosmic element. And so it is. So I'm back again. It's like while I was recording, while I'm on the Palisades Parkway heading north, back to my old territory, a car was blowing their horn behind me, just so impatient. There's a lot of traffic. And lo and behold, as I was still driving at the pace that I'm driving, because blowing the horn and trying to bully me is not changing anything, and voila, lo and behold, the license plate on the vehicle that was trying to blow me out the way had Eve on it. So again, I see Eve on the license plate. I'm like, wow. And so I said, well, it's so interesting how the Eve on the license plate, of course, represents the feminine energy. But the difference is that the Eve represents the feminine that was submissive, and she submits herself to her mate, and they said she came from his rib, and you know, all of that, because that is what the masculine had desired, to have that type of feminine. And so the Lilith is the one who was the aggressor, and she represented her equal status to Adam. So what's interesting is that this Eve on the license plate with this vehicle is more like aggressive and like her. So it makes me think that the masculine has integrated the Eve element of the submissiveness, and they are surrendering and have surrendered to the feminine space. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome to receive the message just from the vehicle passing by? And I had to take note of that, because I mean, the car was just bearing down on me, but there's no way I would be able to see the license plate until the vehicle passed me to the left, and the left is what? Feminine, to the left. So that's exactly what is confirming, is that the patriarchal representation of the masculine, the alpha male and the omega male, both are surrendering. Because you see, that shows the aspect of the dream, because one of my divine masculine is alpha and the other one is omega, and they complete that circle of the masculine energy that's within me. Aha, see, eureka, voila. You know, the aha moments, you know, and oh my God, and oh my goddess. So it's interesting what is being shown to me from the cosmos. Everything is coming together in unison and unity. What's coming into balance with the masculine and the feminine principle. Whether it's the aggressor or the aggressive, the one that takes action, the one that stays back or holds back, you know, that gives in, you know, surrendering and knowing when to move forward. You see, this time frame of the Christed consciousness, they say Christ Mass, right? The Christ Mass, the massive energy of consciousness that is now coming into that element of light, stepping into the light. See, stepping into the light through the dark and bringing it all together in a new element. So this consciousness in and of itself represents an energy of magic and unity. And so it is. So this is an addendum to what I recorded yesterday while I was on my way to the cleaners to get my dress altered. And as soon as I pulled in, I saw a vehicle with the license plate GUY. Again, I had stated earlier that every time I see GUY, it pertains to Guyana. So, you know, it's like no matter what, whenever we are receiving messages that are coming in, it's like our higher soul, our higher selves is always leading the way, and we will always get confirmation. The confirmation is already in place before we even tap into it. So it's just like confirmation. That's what I keep getting. So I'm just in gratitude always for the signs, and I'm always so alert and astute to what I see, and knowing that what I see and what I feel is like it's all on the right track. It's all on the right track. That's what it is. And so it is. It is December 13, 2018, and I am adding an addendum as a follow-up to the dream I had yesterday afternoon on 12/12, and also the downloads of information that was also flowing through me. And I've been guided by Spirit to go into Guyana and the correlation to Gaia. And so from looking up on Google, according to what is on there, it says Guyana is a diverse nation. 39.8% of the population is of East Indian origin. It's Indo-Guyanese. 30% Black African. 19.9% multiracial, almost all part African. 10.5% Amerindian. And 0.5% other, mostly Chinese and whites, most notably Portuguese. And so it says something here, the history of the Indo-Guyanese or Indian Guyanese are Guyanese people with heritage from the Chinese men that had to marry women of other ethnicities due to the lack of Chinese women migrating to British Guyana. The recorded history of Guyana can be dated back to 1499 when Alonso de Ojera's first expedition arrived from Spain at the Essequibo River. The history of Guyana has been shaped by the participation of many national and ethnic groups, as well as the colonial policies of the Spanish, French, Dutch, and British. I had to pause because I noticed the name of the person that's written as far as who they said that discovered Guyana was Alonso de Ojeras. And the name struck me like for a second. I'm like, wait a minute, why does that name sound familiar? And then I go back to Rowante's dream when she said that she, the name in the dream was Orida. So the only thing that's different is just the letter R and J. And I know that that is what it is. And so when I think about the dream that she had to do with myself in there, and that it had to do with going to do with the church and the Guyanese people. So then I couldn't help but think of the dream I had yesterday to do with Ron and Rondi, and most of the people that were there at this function was their family and friends, and it was mostly Guyanese people. And so why I'm being told to go into this, because there's something that is recorded in energy that goes back to some sort of enslavement as well. And it is tied to religion too. And so what's interesting, and I have to shake my head, because this person who expedited to Guyana was what it was originally, Guiana. So that's where a lot of the GAI derivative comes from, with Gaia. And he came from Spain. So he came from Spain to a country that existed already before he decided to come there. And then as I go further, Guyana ended up having their victory of having their own independence. And it seems like as if it was in February of 1966, I believe. Their independence was May of 1966. So that's when it was, May of 1966. And I wasn't even born yet. But how interesting, they got their independence, and they had to get their independence from the British people. So, and what's interesting is that when I was reading further, because I was about to go down further, but then when I saw the Ojeda, I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. That name sounds so familiar. So I don't remember the details of the dream from Rowente, but it's still, I know, I feel in my heart. And she did say that she feels the dream was meant more for me than her, but I really feel that everything intertwines. And even with what I'm reading here, what I love about this is that I was already tuning into the cultural background of Guyana, even though I never knew that. And I did pick up on the Chinese, and I picked up on I knew obviously Indian, because I already had some Guyanese friends, and I've also known some other Guyanese people, and of course English as well. So it's really interesting to know how a country that existed, how it existed, to have someone come there from another country to say, hey, I discovered you, for them to have to give back their own freedom from another country that's millions of miles away. And so, so when I think about this, it's like, even though some of, our countries, a lot of the Caribbean countries have had to, obtain their own freedom from what has been tied to Europe, that have enslaved a lot of our people. And that's where things have started from, also to do with the religion ties, the religious structures, Constantine, again, I believe Constantine, let me look up where he's linked to, because Constantine is the one that created the whole, let's put the Bible together so that way our people, and when I say our people, I'm talking about our people during the time that have been enslaved, which includes many of our colored people. And almost every race has been enslaved in every country, but it plays a role because it started from what emanated from the continent of Africa, and then the Europeans came over to Africa, took back people to Africa, and from Africa, to the European countries. And then some people decided to escape from Europe to go to the islands, where the natives were free. And so the natives there were free, and then they became enslaved in their own countries, and then they had to fight to attain their own freedom. So then the history of religion was also created I would say it's more like a mental thing, so that way people could feel like, well, if I hold them in physical bondage, and then they're trying to free themselves because they're strong and empowered, they got to create something to disempower them. So that's when they created and put certain things in the Bible for people to feel as if they were serving their masters, and if they didn't serve their masters, you're gonna go to hell. You're gonna go to hell. It's like, well, how many different things you're gonna do? You're gonna go to hell. And so throughout humanity's history, there's always been more of an emotional slavery, even more than the physical slavery, because I said before, one can be tied down and feel bondage and chains, but then their heart might be with joy because they're able to tap into their own inner freedom. And then there's some that are free, but they're not really free. They could have all the things in the world, but they feel trapped because they've only been able to identify themselves with the physical things, but they never really connected to their inner feelings, thoughts, desires, and their connection to God. So there's different levels of freedom here. And so what I'm feeling is that there's a greater freedom that's coming through from the history of many beginnings of many places, and that includes the islands and countries and anywhere that anyone has been enslaved. And when I think about what's coming through as far as this freedom, is that anything that has been entrapped with our ancestors, my ancestors, which includes Guyana, which includes Jamaica, which includes parts of Europe, which includes the continent of Africa. And I say the continent of Africa because Africa is not a country, it's a continent made up of many countries. And how Guyana, even though that they're in South America, they are connected collectively to the Spanish heritage, but they never really have too much people speaking Spanish there. They spoke English, and they were connecting more to the Caribbean. So there's an energy of connection to the Caribbean with Guyana. Even though it's a part of the huge continent of South America, it is individually, I would say, in its own space and its own world of how it chooses to be, in its own sovereignty, in its own way. And how I remember even the value of the money of Guyana was always so much just for $1. I mean, I don't even know how much it is now, because I remember this lady who I knew that used to babysit my brother and my son. She was from Guyana, and I remember that time she told me it was $100 for $1. And that was from years ago. And so, and it's the value that people have placed on things when it comes to, well, this is what is worth with this, and this is what's worth with that, and all these things, the things that have been created for people to feel enslaved. So either way, here it says, okay, Constantine was a Roman emperor. So he was a Roman emperor, and he's the one that started things to do with the Christianity and all of that, which was AD 306 to 337. Christianity began to transition to the dominant religion of the Roman Empire. So anyway, so I know that, when I think of the history of ourselves, how far back we go when it comes to where things started from creation. And now we're now redeveloping something new, and it's not structured, because that's why a lot of things are coming up for changes coming into the new year, as we're heading into the eclipse. And this eclipse had to do with Capricorn, which is in the south node, and the north node is in Cancer. How ironic, because my twin soul and my divine complement, their son is in Cancer. My son David, his son is in Cancer. My son Brandon, his son is in Cancer. My niece, her son is in Cancer. She's born the same day as my twin soul. And it's so interesting how it all intertwines again. And then most of the family members that I have that their son is in Capricorn, which includes my mother, my aunts, my two aunts that are transitioned, they're all in Capricorn. My grandmother on my mother's side, her son is in Capricorn. And I always kept feeling like, wow, there's something to do with Capricorn, that the energy that each person carries with, if it has to do with the emotional side and the structural side and what comes into balance. And so that's why I spoke it out and I said, I feel like as if something is like really, I won't even say transforming, but it's more like integrating. And there's a newness with this energy where the true meaning of connecting to the Christed energy, the true meaning of connecting to who we are and where we emanated from is not going to be attached. It's not attached any longer to religion, structures, what belongs where and who belongs what, because, you know, Gaia, Mother Gaia, she is shifting things even on the earth, and it includes certain particular places that are inhabited by humans that is no longer going to exist. It's just going to be swallowed up. And it's the same thing for ourselves with our bodies. There's certain parts of our bodies that it's just going to disappear. It's going to start to go away. It's going to start to shift, and we're bringing in more light quotants where you will start to see the cells of your body start to change, where you might look like you're sparkling and golden. I remember when I saw my mother and how she looked in her etheric body, her soul body, and it was amazing. She looked like a golden light, and she still had a facial structure and a body, I could see the shape of her body, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. And so as we continue to ascend, we start to take in more of the crystalline structure, which is why we end up being golden. So how interesting that the dream took me way back to a time where our people that have been enslaved, that they're now free. They're now free, and we're all in one room. We're all in one room, and we're all in the space of joy with dancing, and it wasn't tied to the specific word of Christianity, but it was more of connecting to each other with love, because just like what Rwante said, she said that, I love the way you said, she said that in the conversation I had with her yesterday, I love the way you said, because in the dream she said that, that I said that people may not really understand, the language that we're speaking, because the dialect in Guyana is different, and so is, Jamaica, because it has to do with the dialect and and it's interesting that when we speak in patois, or with the accent from the islands, it's almost like you're singing, and it's like a frequency of singing with words. And I have always said before, when we sing with words, it's a different vibration. And that's why when people from the Caribbean and West Indian, we're filled with love and laughter through music. We love to play music. We bring in the element of music, and we can pick fruits off the tree. We can, you can go to the beach and the sun is shining, and we're getting all this vitamin D coming in and connecting to the sun. And that's not to say that not every place has issues and stuff going on, but there is still something more to this, why I'm to talk about this. And even when I remember when I visited my own island of Jamaica, and I said, people just are so easygoing. It's like, even if they're going to work, it doesn't matter if they're there 20 minutes late, whatever. Nobody's not that stressed out. It's still some elements of things that go on, like I said. But I think about still what shows up in a majority type of space with this. And even if someone say they're hungry, or they don't, they can't afford to buy food, they could still pick up fruits off the tree. You can't do that here when it's wintertime. It withers up. It's dead. It's too cold to have anything planted. And as far as, depending on where you are in the United States. And, you still have the sunshine, and And the way of living is just different in the islands compared to here, and you feel more relaxed, and so on and so forth. So so when I think about it, I can feel then that as we are returning back to our inner gardens, we are really returning back to paradise. We're returning back to the original state of where there's not so much focus on having, on thinking that you got to work to make things happen, or, people are starving and homeless and all that. It's like everything is provided for. It's like being in a whole different space of freedom and oneness, a whole different space of freedom and oneness. And that's how it just makes me feel just when I tap in again back into the dream that I had. And again, the language that's really spoken, like what I said to her in the dream, her dream, is that the language that was very clear in her dream is love, and the language in my dream is love, because that's what remains after everything, after all that is said and done. Love is what brings us back to ourselves. True love, actually, true love. And that's why I had decided to detach from certain names and labels, so if I use the name or the term twin soul, it's just so I can identify. But I look at it more that they are my true love, because true love of the heart is so connected and interconnected, and anyone that I'm related to in this lifetime, or anyone that I'm connected to in this lifetime, my soul family, it's still a part of that entire energy of union. And so anyone that is connected to me through my divine masculines that are in Guyana, or whether here or in Guyana, they're still a part of the essence of me. That's why when I've had dreams of their family, their sisters, everyone, it's everything coming together. On my side of family, whatever I dreamt to do with my aunts, my sister, it still all comes together, because we've all been related before, and it's all interrelating. And everything that is in the subconscious mind between all of us, whether they're in my related by blood or just connected from the soul, because we're all connecting from our soul now, and it's not just based on blood, because guess what, we have reincarnated and been switching roles, switching places. See, so I'm going to go back to what I found when it comes to Guyana, and just finish off with there, because I just found it to be so interesting with the information that was showing up to do with the connection of Gaia and Guyana, because of course previously earlier on I was talking about the trees, the tree of life, because I saw the words am life, I am life, and that was just Mother Gaia speaking straight to me about what is being how do I say it? The rebirth right now in this time, the rebirth of ourselves, the rebirth through this Christ consciousness. And this consciousness itself is where it will seem like, well, when we start in the beginning of time, it's where the how do I say it? The feminine principle was first. The feminine principle was first, and she gave birth to the sun. She gave birth to the sun. And from then, that's when things started with her son became her husband, if that's the way to put it, and that's how things started to be reproduced and so on and so forth, etc. And how things started out in history and time and space, from one element of the self to the other. So now I go into Gaia and what is written according to Wikipedia in the description of Gaia, which is from Greek mythology, which is also spelled Gaia and also spelled Gaea. It is the personification of the earth and one of the Greek primordial deities. Gaia is the ancestral mother of all life, the primal mother earth goddess. She is the immediate parent of Uranus, the sky, from whose sexual union she bore the Titans, themselves parents of many of the Olympian gods and the giants, and of Pontus, the sea, from whose union she bore the primordial sea gods. So it's how interesting it is that, the offspring of Uranus and Gaia is what has produced the giants. And I was mentioning that to someone yesterday that I met at the Jamaican restaurant that I went to. And, the giant people did exist. And so if you remember what I said earlier in the recording, that it's like Mother Earth is like had been impregnating herself and giving birth to all of us through the energy of the sun, and everything that's coming through from ourselves as the reborn children is not the same like when she gave birth to us originally from creation. It's a different element now. So what's interesting is that when I think and I feel into the whole thing, is that it just makes me feel like there's a greater awareness and heightened energy that comes through from the earth because of her ascension, and how much more things are coming together universally. And it's like a rejoicing. It's just such an interesting way of how everything is just coming together, not even with how I thought it was going to be. But, how interesting too that I believe Uranus had been in Taurus. I know it's out of Taurus right now. I'm not sure where it is right now. But everything is coming together in both worlds, heaven on earth, heaven on earth. And that's why I kept seeing the frequencies and the codes, the codes and the ones and the zeros coming in as those who are in the physical body working through themselves, as we're helping Mother Gaia. Mother Gaia is also helping us to with this ascension process of what we're releasing, what has been energy held on the earth, which was from the beginning of time, which was through all these structures that have been created that are breaking down. And so as our bodies are being lifted up, because our bodies are being lifted up, and that's why when our bodies are being lifted up, we might feel pain. I had been feeling pain in my knee for the past 2 days. So every time when the portal opens up and everything on the masculine side that represents the patriarchy, represents all that control and power that has been placed and what has been disintegrated when it comes to the feminine energy. And so the feminine energy is what is recalibrating and is rising so much in consciousness that the masculine has no other options. I know I'm putting it like in a separate entity, but it's like there's no other option but to participate, because the connection is there all the time. It's like a mother giving birth to a child, and even though when the umbilical cord is cut, the energetic connection between her and her offspring is always there. It's always there. It's always ever existed. And so many of us who have been mothers before have given birth to our divine masculine because they were our sons also in previous lifetimes, where we really were their mothers and not just their consorts. And so everything to who we've been and what we have come from into bringing this union together, it has reached, I say, the peak. That's what it is. And we are giving birth to new tribal energies, new frequencies, where it's not going to be separated by islands, it's not going to be separated by cities, it's not going to be separated by states, it's not going to be separated by countries. It's like all countries are coming together, all of humanity is coming together, all of the cosmos is coming together, all of the universes are coming together, everything is coming together as one body of this consciousness, one body of this Christed consciousness through the heart. And then from the heart to the mind, as the mind of God that holds all the data, all the information, is processing and collecting all the data and transmuting all of the data to what has been collected to come back to the original state of itself from that pure state. So as it is doing that, the mind of God that is working through what it is collecting. That's why some of us may feel like as if the circuit board is like, oh my God, this is coming through, all this information is coming through, and collecting it and then saying, oh, we're going to keep this. No, we're not going to keep that anymore. So even though like some people might feel, well, I still want to go to church, or I still want to, but it's just going to be different. It's just like it's a different, and things are being rewired and reprogrammed. And it's about coming together collectively through the heart and not based on a structure. So That's why the energy of the Capricorn, where there's structures that are built, because sometimes we may feel like we need things to be in a particular order, so that way it's not scattered all over the place, or that there are some rules, because since it's so many of us that things are coming together. But as each person continue to rise in consciousness and awaken to their true selves, we're the ones that truly will be governing ourselves. That's why I had a dream long time ago that there was no more government. There's no more government. There was no more of that. And this is because we're in a place where we can be at peace, where we could leave our doors open. We can, there's no one going to be trying to outdo the other or try to get this from this person or steal from this one, because there will be no need for that. Everything is coming back to a place of where everyone is in harmony, and that we take care of each other and we work together as a conscious community. It's in a conscious place, from a conscious place, and that we're in our divine love. And it has nothing to do with this one is trying to take this person from that person, or deception energy and control energy and power play energy and manipulation energy. All of that stuff is because we already gathered the data through those energies that have been deeply embedded in the earth. And that's why it has taken so much of the feminine to transmute out that energy based on the contact she's been making. I'm only saying she in reference because there are males who hold feminine energy. But I know that the ones in the female bodies have had to go through a greater, deeper type of transformation, because a lot of things have been having to be reworked through the sacral chakra from the root chakra, because that's where we are grounded on the earth and how we are connected to the divine masculine. The divine masculine, they are the ones that have been carrying the heaviness of the earth, why it would look like as if they're so deep entrenched in earthly things. But it was necessary for him to be able to transmute through the energy being connected to earth, because it was through earth and mother that they feel that connection. And now they're having a different view now of the feminine energy and the connection now to Mother Earth, and that separation is not really there, knowing that they have always been connected to Mother. Mother has always existed, and Mother has never left us, never. So it's so interesting, because we are the branches of her tree. We are the branches of her, because she has given us life, and life now begins anew. We are on a new path and a new time, and now we are on the right track. We're on the right track. And it's so ironic, because I mentioned something earlier today. I don't remember where I recorded it. It could have been in this portion here that I was recording. But before I get to that, I found something else. I had to look it up, because I said, let me look and see what is written in terms of if anyone that whatever, how is this as far as when someone reproduces without having a mate, because most of us started out androgynous in the beginning of time. And I still couldn't find the right word. So the best thing that showed up is parthenogenesis. How interesting that the word Genesis is at the end of the word, because Genesis is the first book of the Bible. And Genesis is the derivative of the genes of Isis, the genes of the primordial goddess from the beginning of time. And so parthenogenesis says when animals reproduce without a mate. It says in the wild, some female animals are able to create offspring without the help of a mate, a process known as parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis happens when an unfertilized egg produces an offspring. The term parthenogenesis comes from Greek terms meaning virgin creation. Depending on the species, parthenogenesis happens for different reasons. Some species that normally reproduce sexually will sometimes reproduce asexually. That's the word I was looking for, asexual. Either for lack of males, for population sex control, or in some cases because of an abundance of resources. It says how the cell division happens during reproduction in each species determines if the resulting offspring from parthenogenesis will be an exact clone of the mother or not. Parthenogenesis occurs in lower animals such as insects. And that's the reason why, they say that when people do like DNA tests, that the one thing that remains or stands out the longest is from the mitochondrial DNA. And that's because that aspect of creation through the mitochondrial DNA goes back lineages. And that's the reason why it is the feminine energy that had to transmute out all of the stuff that has been embedded on earth in terms of consciousness, because it traces back from mother to grandmothers to great grandmothers, and it goes on and on and on. And so that's why I had so many dreams to do with my twin soul and divine complements family, with their aunts, their mother, the sisters on my side, my sisters, my aunts, my mother, and most of the stuff that I've had to transmute was through a lot of ancestors who were raped, or they were enslaved and their babies were taken from their stomachs, and all these things. So all that pain and everything had to be transmuted, and the child usually takes on the pain that the mother has within herself, and it's within the cellular memory of that child. So that's the reason why everything had to go back and back and back and rewind, going back to all the pain and everything that we have all had to endure and what we've all experienced. And so that's why the way how it's being shown to me, just like what it says, Parthenogenesis, virgin creation. So we're in a time and an energy and a sequence of a virgin creation, meaning that it's not the same like how creation started millenniums ago, billions of years ago. I mean, it goes beyond billions anyway. It's like we were in a new cycle and a new energy of this, and that's why they were showing it to me like we're in a different vortex. Some of us, it depends, because we're all in different levels of consciousness, we're all in different levels of awakening, and each person will start to become, to know and realize where they are in their path, but not to look at it as one better than the other, just different levels and waves of awakenings, different levels and waves of ascension is occurring. But I know that what was shown to me was that after December 21st, from the time when the portal is starting to shift, then a new cycle and wave of people are going to start to awaken, and then the cycle continues again. And then those who already have been ahead of the cycle of awakening from the time that portal was open from 2012, the ones who started out first are the ones that are going to assist the ones who are now starting to become awakened. And then another cycle of things start to happen. So each time we have moon cycles, each time that we're going to have portals, eclipses, and all these things, it's going to start again and again. But some of us will not have to be transmuting for the entire collective consciousness. It's like some will be starting to take over, and then the ones who have gone through all of that process will now be able to live and feel, breathe easier and feel easier. And then the ones who are starting out, they won't have it as challenging as the ones who went through it from in the beginning. And it had been really a lot of painful things that we've had to transmute and clear through a lot of shit is what I call it, a lot of stuff. So that's what, has been shown to me, the difference between from 10, 12 years ago to now in terms of those who are awakening and what's going on with the ascension. But the difference is that it is speeding up faster now, because there are more people awakened. And because it's speeding up faster, that means that we're not really given an option to, I gotta slow this down, or I gotta stop this, because it cannot be stopped. It is already on track. We are on track, and things are completing out with one cycle to the next. It's just going from one cycle to the next. And because it's going from one cycle to the next, that's the reason why things are speeding up more rapidly. And our bodies are going through rapid changes, as well as what we are shifting through by the time we get to 2020, when the North Node goes into Taurus. And that's when we're truly, I believe, that's what I feel so strongly, we're really transitioning into a newer phase of a new Earth. Of more of what's coming into that physical place with the new structures and the new elements of how we'll be able to have heaven on earth. And that's how I'm receiving the information to be able to explain this. So, and that's what I get. That's what I get right now in this time and this space. And so what I'm going to do is just put on some music to go with being on the right track.
Oh, So a lot of people going to have to stand up and fight. But remember to praise Jehovah, and He will guide you in this iration.